This is a teaser from the chapter What If It's Okay to Be Kind, written by Lina Hansson. Read by me, Elisabeth Blomgren. And it's a teaser, a part of the chapter, from the book Unlocking the Wisdom of Horses Within You, a co-author project with writers from all over the world. There is a full moon as I get out of bed to check on the horses in the field. I dress warmly. The temperature has dropped below 0 degrees Celsius. Once I reach the open shed, I'm embraced by a sense of deep calm and complete trust. It feels like the energies around me are being pulled deep down into the Småland farmland. The horses are resting, with one herd member standing outside with her head raised. She's the scout. Greta is close to foaling, and her breathing is heavy as she lies resting. I drop down in the straw just next to the whole herd. This is what it should feel like, I think, with my eyelids dropping, to love horses. Violence is an act directed against another person or being, which by that act injures, hurts, frightens, or offends, makes that being do something against their will or refrain from doing something they want. Since I was a child, I've felt a strong sense of safety and belonging in nature, something I struggled to find elsewhere. As a young girl, I would hear the trees whisper words of comfort. A sea of forget-me-nots would embrace me, and I would let the grass carry my worries away. When I am in nature, the roots surrounding me haul my anxiety down deep into the earth, turning it into nourishment and lending my feelings of hope. 11 years old, I get the opportunity to regularly be around horses through the village's local riding school. When I'm not in the stable, I read. I read books about horses, about relationships with horses, and the books make those relationships seem almost magical. I dream about having my own horse one day, to forge the same deep connection between the two of us as those relationships I read about in the books throughout the nights. I didn't turn out like in the books, at least not for the first 20 years. I have lived side by side with horses for most of my life. I've seen the love for horses through my own eyes and the eyes of others. But at the very same time, I have also witnessed actions that manifested the very opposite. How could this come to be? I was shaped and raised in an equestrian culture and society of normalized violence. 7 years into my equestrian career, at the age of 18, violence had become a daily part in my handling of horses. By now, I had been taught to use legs, bits, whips, spurs, and other tools to manage horses. I have learned techniques using body language and my voice to get horses to do what I wanted, even in situations where they are scared or in pain. This is when I met Kiron, at 18, when I'm just about to step into adulthood. Kiron has a shiny light brown coat, its shine equal only to the newly turned leaves of the trees in autumn, A darker dorsal stripe runs down his spine. When we meet, we are equally disappointed in the world. The difference between us is that Kiron knows what needs to be done differently, while I'm just frustrated. I'm sure I'm doing the correct things, so why isn't it working? Kiron is my mentor. He is the one I walk side by side with today, my hand lightly resting on his withers. Rest your hand on him too, if the story becomes too heavy to sit on, if it tears at your wounds, if it feels like a stone in your shoe. He is proud of who he is and lays his protective wings over his herd. Put your hand on his withers and take a few deep breaths. He is here with us. We take this journey onwards together. But remember, it starts with me and you. The two of us are responsible for acting differently, to be a little kinder, both to ourselves and to those we love. July 2004. The green of summer and forget-me-nots. I am 14 years old and have been riding horses for 3 years at the local riding school. A friend of my family has just bought a Norwegian fjord horse. Her name is Lorry, and she is raw, heavy, and almost unimaginably strong. Her opinion is that if any riding business is about to go down, it should happen at walking pace. But I want to prove that fjord horses can do everything other horses can. I am planning to change everything. Lorry should lose weight and become an obedient horse. Lorry, on the other hand, already thinks that things are just fine. To her, I'm just like an annoying fly. A fly that she tries as best as she can to take care of and to try to guide back to unconditional love. But I'm so angry because I have to exaggerate everything just to get Lorry to even look at me. I am disappointed, not often with Lorry, but with myself, the situations and people around me. I scream because I notice that Lorry listens. With her ears turning back, she listens. She seems to think about what I said for a short time, only to launch off into a trot and quickly veer off into the forest to scrape me off against a tree. Lorry makes sure I always feel heard, and when I'm wrong, I get to feel that too. Even though the relationship between us is violent, there are times when I find I can't be bothered to try to solve something that doesn't really need to be solved. When we gallop so hard that tears flow, when we fly over the obstacles in the forest, when I lie on her back while she grazes in the meadow, these moments of being carried, or feeling held for once, to not be so terribly alone. That feeling of loneliness accompanies me through my childhood. As a young adult, being a part of society is difficult, and I try to find contexts where I can experience the same safe feeling again. Both were Kiron and the equestrian culture at large, but also in my work life and with friends. But often I just can't. I can't keep up the facade, and the imagined safety disappears. When it gets particularly heavy, I sometimes think, why didn't I just die then and there? I'm too worthless and fragile for this world. We're back to me at 14 years old. Despite the chain across her nose, Laurie manages to gallop away as I take her out of the pen. Hanging onto the rope, I fall over as I have done many times before. Laurie drags me along and I scrape my knees on the gravel. I can't lose my hold on her, because I believe the horse must never win. You have to show who's in charge. You have to be the leader. I hold on tight to the rope. She finally stops running and starts grazing, as she always does eventually. She is easygoing, Laurie. No need to run more than necessary. I manage to get her into the stable, where I beat her, because a 14-year-old me thinks I need to show her who's the boss. Otherwise, she's gonna take the leadership role in our relationship. I hit her several times and she rears up. 2 hoofs above my head are all I see when I back out of the stable. But I have been told the lie that you can't let the horse win, and I believe in it. I can't back down. I threw both love and fear aside, screaming and punching in the air and on her body, most certainly on her head. She backs away. She lowers her head and stands in the corner. "Don't hit me anymore," she says. "It hurts." I drop the whip and cry for what I have done. My hands shake. My whole body trembles. My head feels like someone's cutting knives through it, as does my heart. My throat burns like a burning ball. It's hard to breathe. My whole being says, "You don't want to do this." I love her so much. She is my safe haven. I do not want to hurt her, but I have to. The horse must never win. The horse must never win, echoes in my head.